Jeff, are you planning on watching wrestling this weekend?
I am planning on watching wrestling this weekend, Ian, and I'll
Hmm.
tell you, this is the night, this is the time, these are the days that all wrestling fans look forward to. Every time it comes around, you cannot help but be wrapped up in its grandeur and glory. And it really is the time that wrestling fans and a lot of non-wrestling fans, they come in, they join us for what could only be described as a magical showcase of the immortals called Super Card of Honor.
Yes, Super Card of Honor this Friday at the Liqueur Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
There'll be 2,500 to 3,000 screaming fans. Actually, I
No,
am actually kind of looking forward to Super Card of
Mhm,
Honor. Eddie Kingston versus Mark Briscoe in particular.
mhm.
But
Well, I've been watching Ring of Honor steadily for the last like 3 months or so, and I
mhm,
can tell you that at Ring of Honor or at Supercard of Honor, some wrestling will take place.
mhm, absolutely.
Mhm. And let me tell you, there definitely won't be matches involving people that they fired 3 days ago.
I like that they have kept the tradition of keeping Super Card of Honor over WrestleMania week. If you remember, that's what Ring of
Mhm.
Honor used to do because all the wrestlers are in town, so it's actually
Yeah.
cheaper to run a show. And you see GCW does all
Hmm.
the shows in Philadelphia. They have
Effie.
Effie's Big
Yeah.
Gay Brunch, I'm sure, is happening.
Yep.
They have one of my favorite shows of the year. It's taking place in Philadelphia tomorrow, and that's Josh Barnett's Bloodsport.
Mm.
And basically, this is it's like a more of like a fake MMA type style, right? Like,
Okay. All right. I'm
where they're
interested.
like, instead of doing sometimes fake looking moves, we're going to make it, look like we're actually having a
Mhm.
fight. And I really enjoy it. I like it. It's one of my favorite cards of the year. So
That's
yeah.
cool.
And Shayna Baszler is going to be on it.
Oh, great.
Yeah, WWE has allowed Shayna Baszler to participate in it, which is
Well,
kind of cool because Shayna Baszler is a real MMA pioneer. Like,
yeah.
because Shayna Baszler, women's MMA 20 years ago, when she was starting out, it was like Shayna Baszler and maybe another girl.
Yeah,
Like,
Shayna Baszler and a mirror.
yeah. So kind of cool that she was also doing, wrestling on the side.
Mhm.
And Josh Barnett is a former UFC heavyweight champion, but he also wrestled in these sort of, they call them like shoot style
Yeah.
organizations in Japan, where and like Minoru Suzuki helped found this organization and stuff like that. They also fought in Pancrase, which, as I
Mhm.
understand it,
Mm.
is just, they were like, let's take the rules from wrestling, but we'll do it for real.
And it's not even in a backyard. That's amazing.
Another thing that I've been saying about WrestleMania week and
Hmm.
WrestleMania weekend is that I think we should try and normalize like having cake. Like
Hmm.
this needs to be a cake related
I
holiday.
see.
Like on your birthday, you have cake. On when else do you have cake? You have cake at weddings. You have cake
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
other people's birthdays.
No, I like
I
this.
I just feel like we need more excuses to eat cake since it tastes great. Why not WrestleMania?
You could do a triple decker cake.
Mhm. So like
You
my
could you could do
pitches.
cakes that match matches on the card.
Hmm.
You know,
Yes,
like
exactly.
you
Like you
could
could have
do
a like
a six-pack cake.
a bloodline rules cake where like
Where other cakes
you
get to
know
run in.
someone comes in and just takes your cake from you. You spend all year, or at least since the Royal Rumble, thinking you're going to get to eat this cake, but then Solo Sokoa takes it. And you're like, shit, do I have to go another year before I eat cake? Yes.
I think that these would make for entertaining 1 or 2 night events.
I'm going to start a wrestling themed baking show. It's going to be called,
I'm in. Say no more.
going
No
to be
notes.
called Finish the Cake. And,
I think
cause
you'd do better with, is it finish the cake? Because then, people could guess if it was actually cake as well as
yes.
finishing
Oh,
the cake.
right. Yes. Yes.
That'd be kind of fun. But there is another show happening this weekend called
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania 40, both nights of it, Saturday, Sunday. Lots of stuff on the card. Interesting. They've divvied things up for night
Yeah.
1, night 2, which they haven't done in the past. They haven't released that beforehand, except for maybe like a main event. I don't think they've put out like the full cards beforehand, have they?
I don't know. I know the main events have
Mm.
kind of been
Yeah.
announced.
And they might have been like, this will be here, that'll be there, but never like, this is what you're gonna get, start to finish.
Yeah, I don't know if they have or not.
Well, it's
well,
interesting because
but
here's my impression so far, just in a quick, over the top kind of way.
sure.
It looks like night 1 is way more loaded up than night 2.
That's what I thought too.
And this leads me to suspect that something is going to happen night 1, perhaps in a tag match, that is going to be huge and have massive implications for night 2 and just like ratchet the whole thing up to a higher level.
Well, I was wondering if maybe it's possible that they set something up for The Rock to wrestle on night 2, but then they're like, we won't announce it just in case you tear an ACL or pull a hamstring in the highly likely event that you get injured 2 minutes into this match.
Tear your stomach off the bone or whatever. Yikes.
But yeah, because they only have 6 matches lined up for night 2. So that leads me to believe, I mean, obviously, like all these matches are going to get a lot of time and things like that.
Yeah,
but
these are going to be 4-hour nights, easy.
Yeah, so I'm expecting some stuff to get announced for night 2 on night 1. There's all these rumors that like Austin's going to do something. Cena's going to do something. Whether it's just like appearing on the Grayson Waller effect or something like that, like, seems like that could happen.
Action. That'll probably happen to both of them, actually. One will be on the show and the other will interrupt, and then we'll all move on probably after a run in by the NWO for some reason. But it seemed like, I know they've been kind of cagey about Austin's gonna maybe do something and Cena's gonna maybe do something, and I'm like, why wouldn't you tell us to try to sell more? And then I remembered, like, this thing is sold. They don't need to tell us anything.
Yeah, exactly. like they're not looking at selling like tickets at this point. And also because like it's on Peacock. So like so many people are basically like, if you have NBC, don't you get a free subscription to Peacock? So
I wouldn't know.
We don't know. But like every single pay-per-view that they do now, it's like, oh, we set a world record for viewership.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, because there's the price barrier to watch these things is like nothing now.
It's like, I bet Raw is going to do dynamite numbers on Netflix.
Yep.
Like that is just kind of going to happen. Yeah. So, but yeah, so it's interesting to see now that they're kind of holding back stuff to have those big surprise moments, the Hardy Boys returning type moments.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, like you don't gain anything from advertising, but by having a big surprise, like the good thing with the big surprise is like, that's always what you'd like talk about. Remember when this happened and we were like, oh my God, my mind blew up.
So especially if you do it on night 1.
Yeah, exactly. So if you do something big that gets people talking at night 1, then people, like I could see something like that, like Steve Austin comes in and it's like, oh, we find out Austin's going to be on the Grayson Waller effect. And,
Sting shows up and is like, I didn't retire. Was all an illusion.
Yeah.
He's Surfer Sting again. That'd be great.
But you know what? Like this is the first WrestleMania with Vince McMahon gone. Just completely out of it. And I think that's something that needs to be celebrated. Like I've said this before, a lot of people are like, oh no, this was like the creator of this industry. Nope. He's the guy who held it hostage for 40 years and ran other promoters into the ground and ran the business basically as a monopoly. Wrestlers had no leverage in their contracts, and Vince being gone is fantastic for the business. And this is the first WrestleMania without him. WrestleMania 40. So, now you gotta like get different tests done at the doctors. And, going from 39 to 40 is tough. That's all I'm gonna
It's a
say.
pain. They're really concerned with your blood pressure.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at for night 1?
All right. So the card order has kind of leaked, but it was sort of said that things could change. This might not be the actual lineup, but basically night 1 is going to start the very first match,
Mhm.
it's going to be Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. I was shocked to find out.
Interesting.
I know, like you always want, like they say the most important spots are the first match and the last match, but it seems like Lynch versus Ripley is way too important to be,
Yeah.
the first match. But that might just be like the older wrestling fan in me that was like, okay, well, the cruiserweights start every show, right?
Yeah.
Like it didn't
Yeah.
used to be that you have your second top match open the show. It used to be
Yeah.
you had like your best workers put on a fun match that there's really no story behind. So to see Ripley and Lynch in the spot, and like my first thought is like,
Mhm.
oh, what? But I guess.
Well, you know what? If you want to kick it off with a bang, like
Yeah.
it's the only other match on the card that can conceivably be a main event.
Yeah.
So if you mark those at opposite ends of the card, it gets people excited and hyped, and could be a good. I mean, and at this point too, they've already sat through like 2 hours of pre-show matches, so they've had that like no story fun, you know.
I don't
uh,
know if they're gonna do
Yeah,
a pre-show. This might just be the first. I absolutely hope they do, because it
yeah.
just feels weird that like people are still like kind of just I don't know.
Well,
Those biggest stars.
they got to do the Dre somewhere. They got to do the Andre Battle Royal too. So
No, they're
now
doing that on SmackDown.
oh,
They're
are
doing
they?
that the night
Well,
before. Yeah.
eat it then. I got nothing. But yeah, interesting. In that match though,
Yeah.
who do you think wins? Do you think Becky overcomes or Rhea soldiers on?
Um. Okay. So this is a very interesting match for them to have made for this WrestleMania, because I know Ripley's in the Judgment Day and she does dastardly things, but the fans love her. She's
Mhm.
cheered like a baby face. Ripley and Becky Lynch, like they're your two biggest
Mhm.
baby faces in the women's division. And so to have them clash at WrestleMania, like, whoever loses is either maybe going away for a little while or
Mhm.
maybe turning heel, which would not make sense for Ripley since she's in the process of turning
Yeah.
babyface. And I just can't see them turning Becky Lynch heel. So that doesn't make sense. So maybe somebody's leaving, or maybe somebody's going on like a storyline arc, similar to what Sami
Mhm.
Zayn is doing now, where it's like you lose,
Yeah.
but then you go through a Rocky Four montage with Chad Gable, and then everybody knows you're better, and you
Yeah.
can have a rematch. So
Yeah, and maybe they're gonna try to do. I mean, like you say, you don't want to turn Becky Lynch heel because that didn't really work
no,
that
I
much
didn't
last
like it.
time. Because I could see them maybe trying to do like the double turn type thing, but um, I think you leave the title on Rhea at this point.
I think Rhea's got to go over. I think she's being built up to be such an unstoppable
Mhm.
force. It doesn't feel like the right time to take the title off her.
Mhm.
Just with Becky Lynch, like this is like Becky Lynch is your
Mhm.
protagonist of basically the entire division. So her losing, and I think if she loses clean, there has to be some story that comes out of that. Like,
Mhm.
like she
They force her to give her daughter up for adoption. Something.
yeah. Or it could also be like there could be some outside interference that helps Ripley win in
Mhm.
a way that like Ripley's not aware of, like
Yeah.
so Ripley's not in on the cheating, but Becky is, and then Becky moves into a
Yeah.
storyline with that person. But um,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. No, it makes sense. And we look at the Sami Zayn thing and the stuff we theorized there. Maybe this is just a move towards, maybe not WrestleMania being the all stop that it was in
mhm,
previous years for some
mhm.
of the uh other stories on the card. Like, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe it doesn't need to be the hard reset.
Well, I think a world title match that's not in the main event spot. Well, I guess Bayley and Io's not either.
Yeah.
I don't
And I
know. That's
mean,
what.
remember when Brock demanded to be in the in to start the show because he wanted to leave?
Oh yeah.
So it's not like there isn't precedent for this. Maybe Rhea's got somewhere to be.
Yeah. See, I think that was
I
like there. I think there was a little of like, hey, we want to put Brock in the first match because it's the second biggest match on the show. But like, I can see Brock going, especially from a UFC background where
Yeah,
like it does do that, where like the last matches are more important than the earlier
yeah.
matches. So I can see him being like, we have to come up with some reason for this. So.
Well, he wanted to leave. What's next on the card? What do we got?
All right.
Who's coming
Then
after
that, we've got the Undisputed Tag Team Championship 6-pack ladder match.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, this features
Judgment
Day.
DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. New Day, The Miz and R-Truth. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, and Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate.
Okay, I want to talk about two things first.
Okay, then.
One of them is the names of some of these thrown together tag teams.
Okay.
Are so god awful. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate are known as New Catch Republic.
Yes.
Does that come out of like a name generator of some kind? Were they trying to like, my God. And then you have Austin Theory and Grayson Waller as A-Town Down Under. Are they a goddamn boy band? Like, what does that even mean? All the creatives in WWE, and this is what we get. Okay. All right, sure.
And then don't forget the Awesome Truth, because
but that has precedence.
Well, yes, but they came up with that stupid name. It was just they came up with it 13 years ago.
Do you remember when they had to fight John Cena and The Rock in a tag match on the way to WrestleMania?
I do.
Weird.
Yes, it was weird.
Yep.
I think in this match, though, we're going to see a title change, because I think those tag titles need to come off of Damian Priest before Damian Priest cashes in the Money in the Bank. And I think he's doing that on night 2. So I would expect that we see new tag champs in this match here. In terms of who they are,
I would love to see DIY, because I love DIY.
Yeah.
Johnny
you know
Gargano
who I think it's going to be?
Ciampa. Oh my God.
You know who I think it's going to be? Miz and R-Truth.
Okay.
You know why? I think they want to give R-Truth an award. Yeah. Like a you did good award. Like, hey man, you've been doing good.
Yeah, well, they gave,
take one half of the tag titles. You'll have a nice little WrestleMania moment. Because, R-Truth and that stuff with the Judgment Day, they sold a lot of t-shirts. And they did some good segments there. So I feel like if they're going to give anybody what is essentially like a random tag team title run, because none of these teams have been like pushed crazy hard or anything in recent weeks. So it's basically going to be a random, tag win. I think if anyone, give it to Miz and R-Truth.
Yeah. Okay. I'd be okay with that, but I'm still pulling for DIY.
Yeah. I would love to see DIY too, but it's big for them just to be on WrestleMania. Eh? Like this is their first WrestleMania. Like all those years, like the entire era of the black and gold NXT, the takeover era of NXT is going, like history will shine brightly upon that. So it's good for them to get a big money WrestleMania payday.
True.
Then we go to an interesting match, as it will be Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee against Santos Escobar and Dominik Mysterio. Just what is going on here with Dominik Mysterio and Legado del Fantasma?
I saw that match and I was like, huh. Okay.
That's
that seems like a perfectly cromulent group of people to put into a match. Like,
so I was watching like SmackDown, and Dominik Mysterio interfered in a Rey Mysterio match, and we haven't seen them. Like, I don't think they've, they had the match last WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
But Dominik has been hanging out with some of these guys with a Lucha Libre background, like Santos Escobar, Andrade El Idolo. He was involved in a segment or like kind of introducing Andrade to the Judgment Day, and now teaming up here with Santos. So I wonder, like, if Rhea Ripley's going full babyface, they're breaking up Mommy and Dom. Yeah. They are. Dom's leaving. He's going, with the bad guy luchadors. And I think the rest of the Judgment Day is going babyface.
Could WrestleMania be the end of the Judgment Day period?
Could be. I don't think so, though. Yeah. I think they'll still, because I think Damian Priest is going to win the world title.
Yeah.
So.
Be the beginning of the end.
Yeah. But do you break up Priest and Finn Balor? Like, I don't
You
know.
have them lose the tag championships, which
Mhm.
already puts a wedge between them. Then Damian wins the world championship, something Finn kind of has never really been able to do in WWE. And then there becomes, a power struggle there. Mommy and Dom aren't really paying much attention all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, they've been teasing a lot of dissension within Judgment Day, but this is Triple H's WWE, and he
Mm,
always has dissension within the stables.
that's true. Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
his style of wrestling. Like, look, man, there's always like the mid card is always stable versus stable. The Final
Hmm.
Testament against Bobby Lashley's guys, and you
Whoever
know
they are.
whoever we got two LWOs feuding with each other. I think Los
Hmm.
Boricuas are back now.
Ooh.
And,
Yeah. Who's next here? Who do we got? Oh,
all
by the
right.
way, Rey Mysterio wins that because I don't know or care.
Nope, I disagree with you. I think we're
Yeah, it's
going
fine.
to see. I think we are going to see Dominik's next path really kind of form. Like we'll find out
Mhm.
more about where he's going with Santos and Andrade, and I think we'll see them standing tall over the babyface LWO team when
I guarantee you, a team featuring Mysterio will win.
then we go to another family related bit of wrestling. Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso against Jey Uso.
My prediction:
Uh-huh.
Uso will win.
I don't know who's going to win this.
The one with
Uh,
a lot of tattoos and long black stringy hair.
I because because right now Jey Uso has been like the bigger star.
Mm,
I think. Well, obviously he's like a baby face and stuff
yeah.
like that, but it was him against Roman at SummerSlam, and Jimmy is still kind of a
Mhm.
bloodline underling. A win over Jay would maybe bump Jimmy up a little
Mhm.
bit, uh, in a way that Jay probably doesn't really need.
Mhm.
But it depends on where they want to go with the story after, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I think they could do it either way. I would imagine this is going to be the first of many matches they have.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
You could
so
carry
whoever
this on
wins number
forever.
one, I don't know.
J. Period Uso will win.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Then we got a 6-woman tag team match. We got Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi against Damage Control's Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai in a Jade Cargill's not going to have a singles match just yet match.
Are they afraid of breaking Jade Cargill? Like, I don't understand what's happening here. Because all we've
Well,
heard since she signed months and months ago is that
mhm.
she's incredible and that she's, and every time they have a big event, they're like, this would be perfect for Jade Cargill. And then nothing happens. It's like Emelina all over again.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think anybody can see it's like they did this whole storyline about which brand is she going to sign to. Then she went away for like 6 months,
Yep.
and then she did a little bit in the Royal Rumble. She seemed fine in the Royal
Hmm.
Rumble. And I've seen Jade Cargill have perfectly fine wrestling matches. She had a great match with Sky Blue. That
Hmm.
sounds ridiculous. What am I talking about? How could that have happened? It did. Sky Blue versus Jade Cargill. I like it was on Rampage or something. It was like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, but it was really good. Um, anyway,
Okay.
but like now it's like, yeah, it's not even a singles match at WrestleMania. They're
Hmm.
like, so part of this is like maybe we're introducing her slow, but part of it could be like, hey, we're just not that confident yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because that's what they
Nia,
kept saying was that she wasn't ready for TV or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, but like they put Nia Jax in the main event
yeah.
of the Elimination Chamber. Nia Jax is not ready, will never be ready. Like,
Oh, poor
like Jade
Naya.
Cargill in AEW was better than Nia Jax in WWE. Nia Jax is like a huge persona and stuff like that. Well, Jade Cargill is a huge persona.
Yep.
So I like, to me, part of me is just thinking like, how bad could she be? Because she didn't shit the bed in AEW. Like, They never exposed her. She would just do short matches, but I don't know.
I don't know either.
It might not be that they don't trust her. It might be like, let's feed her in small bits to start. It could be that.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Or they just don't think she's a good wrestler. In which case, that might be a problem.
So. That's going to be an issue going forward.
Like,
yeah.
You might have want to looked into that beforehand.
At least asked around a little bit.
But. Yeah. Maybe they only watched the match against Sky Blue and were like, yeah, well, hey.
She's great.
Not
they heard you talking about it.
Not representative of the whole package. No, I swear to God, I remember watching this going, you know what? They found it. Those two, boy. You know, actually, I saw Sky Blue had a great match at the AEW Dynamite in Toronto. They did that basically an ECW style match. Yeah, Tony Khan's really big into booking women's tag. Wrestling.
Ah, yes, of the Mania variety.
Yes. So I believe we had left off just 2 matches left on night 1.
Doozy of a toozy.
Of WrestleMania. Now you have to have your cholesterol checked at 4.
Ooh. You remind me, I got to call some people. Anyways.
Okay, so we've got the Intercontinental Championship match. Gunther defends against Sami Zayn. Do we think Sami Zayn is the guy to beat Gunther?
We talked at length about this a couple weeks ago or last week or one of the weeks in the past because time has no meaning. And I think I still stand by what I said then, which is that, you know, Sami Zayn isn't the guy to dethrone Gunther here and now. This is more about Sami's road to the bottom, to be blunt about it, you know, to the bottom so that he can be that Sami Zayn that we know and love, that is the ultimate underdog chasing the dream but never winning the big one, you know, until he does, and then it's the greatest feeling in the world till Kevin Owens smashes his face on the ring. Yeah, so Sami, you know, there is a purpose for it to be here. I don't think Sami wins. It'll be real interesting to see what happens with Chad Gable in the mix. You know, he's been training Sami. Does he turn on Sami? Has this all been a ruse? I don't know. We'll see. But I imagine that Gunther's going to continue walking out of there, particularly if they have interest in ending a certain other streak.
Yeah, I actually feel Gunther is going to beat Sami Zayn. I've heard probably more people go the other way, saying that they think Sami Zayn is going to win. I don't think so, because all right. Okay. This sounds weird given, you know, Cody Rhodes, when he didn't beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania last year, obviously a lot of people were upset about it, but I think you've got to do stuff like that from time to time.
Yeah, absolutely.
If everybody's accomplishing their dream, then it's not as big of a deal when your favorite does it, right?
Especially when they do it in like 4 months.
Yeah. So you know? Sometimes having the big baby face, give it all they've got, fight with honor, and do all the right things, and then lose. Sometimes that's completely fine, and lose clean even. Like, you know, I mean, obviously that's not what happened with Roman and Cody. But I think we've been seeing these interactions between Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. They had their Rocky IV montage kind of segment. It wasn't really a montage, but it was definitely a bit of a melodramatic segment where Chad Gable is trying to teach Sami Zayn that, you know, that he's got to stop doubting himself and he can't be afraid of Gunther. And then Sami Zayn dramatically admitted to being afraid, which is always just like whenever you go, because I'm afraid, all right.
Because I never learned to read.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Whenever you dramatically admit something and you're yelling, I feel like it's a little too much. It was a little like on Saved by the Bell when Jesse got addicted to caffeine pills. And then she's singing or doing some performance. She's excited. Like, I'm so excited. I'm so scared. That's kind of what this segment reminded me a little bit when Sami Zayn admitted that he was scared of Gunther. but all this, but all the same, I I like this storyline that they're doing where Sami has to find something deep within himself to beat Gunther. I just like the idea of him finding something deep inside himself, inside of himself, and then Gunther beating him anyway is a much better story. I like that story.
Yeah.
It's like, I did find like something, some new fighting spirit within me, but I still wasn't good enough. That guy's really good.
It's like Karate Kid 2, where the crane kick doesn't work.
Is that what happens in Karate Kid 2?
Yeah.
I like that.
Spoilers.
I like that. Johnny wins, takes Daniel's girlfriend, gets the Netflix special. That's what I imagine happened there.
I think you did okay. But that leaves us, though, with just the main event, The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins.
Yes.
If The Rock and Roman Reigns win, it will be bloodline rules on night 2. But if Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins wins, well, the bloodline has to go home. Go away, bloodline.
Yeah.
We don't like you.
They won't be allowed to interfere in the match, which I guess
I kind of thought they weren't allowed to interfere with the match.
I thought that's what the rules were.
I don't know. It's kind of, yeah.
Well, okay. So like my headcanon is they have to actually leave the building.
Does it even count if they're not suspended in a shark cage? Like,
oh, if they're suspended in a shark cage, you can rest assured they're getting involved. There has never been someone suspended in a shark cage in wrestling who didn't somehow get involved in the match.
Even if just by dropping a boot or something. Yeah.
But this match, I mean, it's interesting the way it's happening this year because you've got the same storyline in the main event on night 1, the main event on night 2, and some of the same wrestlers. So it's really about how does this match play into the Roman versus Cody match on night 2. And I think it's interesting about, like, I think we're being led to believe if Cody and Seth win, then the bloodline won't interfere. And so finally Cody will get a fair fight. But, you know, if it is bloodline rules, that opens up the door for a lot of potential storylines. You know, the bloodline interfering, people helping Cody. Where does The Rock stand in all this? Does he have some type of moral conflict
quandary
while it's going on? Because they're not going to be able to keep him heel for long.
Does he just represent the board by sitting in the corner counting money? I don't know. You know, I think though the obvious choice, and this is one that could go either way. You know, like in terms of the winners of the match, because both stipulation, because there's really only one.
Yes,
are
either
appealing,
there will be
right?
this stipulation or there won't be that stipulation.
Yeah. Like it is appealing. So I mean, you could have. See, I worry that they're because well, I mean, the days of keeping Roman strong are over. So like, maybe Cody Rhodes beats Roman Reigns 2 nights in a row, and that's just what he has to do. You know, maybe The Rock takes out Cody and that's like his gift to his cousin or something. And Seth is just like, I'm here too, guys. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very strange thing. And to be honest, I did not want this match. Like this was not a match that I really wanted. Adding the stipulation to it, you know, makes it a little more interesting. And, you know, I'm glad I'm going to get to see The Rock in the ring, even if it isn't a tag match that kind of doesn't really make any sense. Like, like who decided they could do this? You know? Like,
yeah, I mean, well, I mean,
like,
The Rock's on the board. He can do whatever the hell he wants, I guess. I don't know.
No, but I mean,
the
like,
rules in wrestling are inconsistently applied. I don't know if you've noticed.
Like it just seems like I understand what happened in the reality of it all, but like if you look at it just sort of with the storyline blinders on, it's like it seems like a real big bump in the road, and I don't know who approved this because to me. Getting your match at WrestleMania probably shouldn't have to come through, you know, winning another match the night before when you've already beaten 30 guys to get it. Like it's kind of a fine print thing that seems a little shitty. But I also understand that putting The Rock and Roman in the ring together was something that was going to happen. And I'd rather they do this than try to like force a 3-way match or something like that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think an interesting part of this match is going to be who they build up as The Rock's next opponent.
Mm.
So, assuming that they do get one more match out of The Rock, which is the general belief at this time,
Mm.
maybe it's at SummerSlam. Maybe they do it in Saudi Arabia. They
Mm.
have one of those big money shows coming for like next month, I believe, um, or like in
Mm.
like 4 weeks or something. So, do they build up The Rock versus Cody? Or do they build up The Rock versus
Mm.
Roman? Like they've teased the dissension with Roman
Yeah.
and the Rock, like ever so slightly, but it's there, you know. Like, so they will get to that at some point.
Mm.
But now, like so much has happened between Cody and The Rock and Mama Rhodes,
Yeah.
and you know that I feel like a singles match between Cody and The Rock has to happen before we get Roman and The Rock.
Mm.
If that's the case, then Roman and The Rock should be cohesive.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to want to build up Rock versus Roman too much if the next match is Rock versus Cody. So
Unless they do one of those things where like The Rock wants to assure that the next match is him and Cody, so he'll
yeah,
turn on his cousin.
yeah,
And we could also see some. Roman has been fairly quiet throughout this whole thing.
mm-hmm.
He letting The Rock do the talking. He comes out and he does, but the stuff you read about, the stuff you hear about is all The Rock. It's not Roman's
Yeah,
just kind of there. So, you know, maybe Roman Reigns at this point, the ultimate forward thinker with the wise man as his counsel,
mm-hmm.
turns on The Rock during this match and is like, and puts him down to prove that he's the real number one. Because you can
Yeah,
have The Rock come out and
yeah,
be like, I acknowledge him as my tribal chief, but everyone's like, yeah, but you're on the board and he's
yeah.
not. And like you are The Rock. Like no matter what you say, you're gonna be above him. So they might be able to do something fun with that
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it, which would be cool.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that could happen. I think there's like a dozen different things that could
Mm.
happen all around, people turning on others, people aligning with others. So, I mean, there's no shortage of storyline of like post WrestleMania
Mm-hmm.
storylines for them to move into.
Mm-hmm.
But, so it should be really interesting to see how
So
everything shakes up in this match.
okay, Knight the Deuce.
Night the Deuce. So, according to the list that's going around, opening up night 2 for the World Heavyweight Championship, Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. Same thing with Becky versus Rhea.
Jeez. Well, also, he's just wrestled in the main event the last. You couldn't even give him a few hours?
Yeah, so like technically he's wrestling in back-to-back WrestleMania matches. He just
Yeah.
like he gets to sleep for a bit and then
He gets like an
whatever.
8-hour break.
Yeah, depending on how long the show is. This would only be
Jeez.
like 20 hours apart.
Yeah.
If that. So
That's surprising to me.
well, it's this idea that, you know, your main event's your biggest match and your second biggest match should go on first. It
Mm-hmm.
it always feels weird to me just because that's not how they do it in the UFC. That's not how wrestling has traditionally done it, but that's the
Mm-hmm.
idea here. I like it when they've got like a Royal Rumble show and you do a Royal Rumble, 3
Yeah.
matches, Royal Rumble. I feel it's
That's
good
great.
then.
Yeah.
That's great. That works perfect for me. But it feels weird to have a world title match open the show.
Yeah.
And, but
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a
Unless they're
reason.
really trying to protect Seth and be like, this, look, to beat him, you had to get him. So he got beat up so bad yesterday, and that's why he wasn't at 100% or something like that. But even if, Drew McIntyre walks out of there with the World Heavyweight Championship, which I don't think he's going to, but, like, I don't think you need to sort of beat up Seth that badly to do it,
No. And this is going to be another thing where a lot of what happens here is just going to move them into other storylines because this isn't the big WrestleMania finale match they wanted for like this was supposed to be Seth versus CM Punk. So I believe the most likely scenario to happen here is, and you've got CM Punk on commentary. So he's going to be out there. And you've also got a guy with the Money in the Bank briefcase looming in the shadows. So I kind of feel like Drew McIntyre is going to beat Seth Rollins and win the world championship. Then somehow Damian Priest is going to come in and cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase, and CM Punk is going to in some way cost Drew McIntyre the world heavyweight title. So years after he had his moment, WrestleMania moment, taken away from him by the pandemic, so there wasn't fans in the crowd to see his big shining moment when he won the world title at WrestleMania, just like COVID took it away from him before, Damian Priest and CM Punk are going to take it away from him this time. He's going to win the world title on top of the world. He beat Seth Rollins, and then Damian Priest and somehow CM Punk will cause Damian Priest to be the guy who walks away from this match with the world championship.
I can see Punk laying out McIntyre and then Priest just bombing down, and no, I could totally see it happening, and it makes sense too. And it also, I think Seth needs to take a little bit of a break just so he's not quite so breakable. Going forward.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Like, I think he has a bunch of
So I don't think he would retain, and Drew isn't going to, like, Damian Priest is the most logical one here. And it makes sense to continue, because Damian Priest can then go off and feud with whoever over it, while Punk and Drew McIntyre have a blood feud, over who lost it, culminating in the recently announced Clash at the Castle, maybe.
That's the other thing. It's like, okay, so that's in June, right? That's not that far away. So now Drew McIntyre for 2 months is going to go around, and he's going to like do the same thing that he's been doing for the last few months, but to 11. Like, just keep bitching about how, he had his moment taken from him, but okay, we're going to my country. We're going to Scotland, and I'm going to challenge Damian Priest for the world championship. Then you know what I would have happen in Scotland? I'd have someone screw Drew McIntyre again. Because to me, wrestling should be 90% people not achieving their dreams.
That's fair.
Trying to accomplish their dreams and failing, I feel, is an important story for wrestling to tell.
No, I think you're quite right on that dismal point.
I never got to play in the NHL. Everyone kept telling me no,
including the NHL.
And then no one talked to me. It was always no.
Why couldn't they have been yes people?
All right, then we move on to that. Number 2, in a Philadelphia street fight and a match made because Triple H loves mid-card stables, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits will take on the Final Testament, Karrion Kross, and the Authors of Pain. I have almost nothing to say about this match.
What I find interesting about this match is the way that they've written it out here, the Final Testament.
Yeah.
There are brackets within brackets, because it's like the Final Testament, bracket, Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain, bracket, Akam and Razor, bracket. Like, there's so many brackets going on here, and that is literally the most interesting thing about the match.
It's it's
going to be entertaining.
It's a very Triple H thing. This is a guy whose name is the King of Kings, the Game, Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque. So
I have a passing familiarity. Yes.
The one thing, so I was looking at this match and I was watching one of the angles where it played out, and I got lost in thought.
Not a good sign.
But I was thinking about how Montez Ford should be a much bigger star, right? Like Montez Ford feels like a guy, if you just put him in the main event spot, he would be a main eventer. Like there would just be like, fans would just accept him as a main eventer. He's really good.
Yeah.
I don't want the breakup of the Street Profits to hurt Angelo Dawkins in any way, though, because I like him too.
He's grown on me, yes.
Yeah, and I also know, like, he is part of Natalia's Dungeon 2.0. Like, he's said to be one of the hardest workers that train out there with them. So I thought maybe this group with Bobby Lashley and B-Fab is a chance for Dawkins to become more associated with Lashley, B-Fab, and maybe through this group, there's a way to turn Montez Ford into a single star without hurting Dawkins,
Yeah.
And I think maybe that might be the best result of this group is turning Montez Ford into the main
Yeah.
eventer that I think he should be, and believe
He's
he
got the
will be.
chops. Like
I
he can
think
do it for sure.
he's just got the person, like he's got the
Yeah.
personality. He's got the. I go to house shows all the time. My nieces love the or my niece loves the Street Profit.
Yeah.
And you see him do that frog splash. Montez Ford does a frog splash.
Yeah.
I'm legitimately concerned for his safety. Like, you're up way too high. You can't fall that far. And I think there's a belief that if I can jump it, I can fall it. And I don't know if that's true in his case.
He is worrisome that way. Yes. I also have no idea. Like, this match is just happening for Triple H's amusement. Like, there's no story here. I'd forgotten that the Authors of Pain came back. You know, like, and I feel bad for Karrion Kross because, you know, I think he had real high hopes, but it just hasn't panned out. And
yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
they went hard with him, like in NXT. Remember, he was undefeated and won the NXT championship, got hurt, and they were like, okay, we're just gonna put it right back on you when you get back. So yeah, I'd say it's fair to say that he hasn't worked out in the way maybe they had wanted him to.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I like him.
I like Cross.
He's great.
You know,
It's
I
the
like
same with all these guys. Like, I like them, but I don't know why they're here. And like, I honestly don't care who wins the match. But I do appreciate the clash of styles between the two groups.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'll make for an entertaining match.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be short. Like I do think to a certain extent it's to get certain guys on the card. That's just my biggest take from this thing. Like Bobby Lashley, he's already a guy you could throw in the main event at any time.
Yep.
Just, you know, he also does not appear to be aging. Like Bobby Lashley now is
Maybe
Bobby Lashley 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
back when he was just Lashley.
Also, I think he might go to the gym.
Every now and again.
Yeah, might work out a little.
That's where he gets the magic.
But to me, I just keep thinking like you got to turn Montez Ford into something.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing.
Yep, I agree. What is next on the list? And I'm hoping it's what I'm thinking it is.
LA Knight versus AJ Styles.
It is the initial bowl. Excellent.
The initial bowl? What do you mean by that?
We got LA Knight and AJ Styles. So
the initials. Oh,
yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, indeed. I care even less about this match than I did the previous one. And that is upsetting.
I kind of wonder if it feels like they didn't have a plan for LA Knight. And I do think part of that is, you know, he got really hot and then they gave him a match with Roman. And then there was kind of nothing after that for a while.
Yeah, it wasn't. They just kind of had him on the upswing and then forgot what they were doing.
Yeah, it feels like he's cooled down a little bit, but yeah, but I feel like you just give him some promo time, and you know, maybe I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm feeling like this feud with AJ Styles just hasn't clicked very much.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah,
honestly, there's nothing to it that has ever. I mean, they're just. I don't know. It's a very like late 1999 Raw kind of match. You know, between two guys who are just gonna go out and do their thing and then go away. Like I don't know, just nothing to it. But yeah.
So the most interesting story concerning this match that I figure is going on is what's up with the OC, because AJ has kind of been separate.
Sorry.
He's been sort of separate from Anderson and Gallows, who are doing stuff on NXT right now, and Mishin. And I'm wondering, because they've got Tama Tonga coming in, but is he going to be associated with the Bloodline? If Judgment Day is breaking up, that means Finn Balor is around for possible OC stuff. So I'm going to say more than likely they're not doing this, but I did notice like they're perhaps setting themselves up for some type of OC club, Bullet Club type reunion thing. And I know Triple H has always wanted
Mhm.
to do that story. I mean, it seems like the moment has passed, but I wonder if they're thinking, hey, let's go back and try and sell some of those t-shirts.
What if we did those T-shirts, but in an NWO font?
Yep. Yeah.
The Unstoppable with a 316 on the back.
But I wonder, like, because Triple H's association with the guys who started the NWO and the Bullet Club kind of being an
Hmm?
NWO cover band,
Hmm.
um, Triple H might have more motivation that might be more
Yeah.
motivated to bring the angle back, even if everyone else is kind of thinking like, the popularity of the Bullet Club's peak popularity was like 2016.
Yeah.
That was 2 Olympics ago. You could get an undergrad degree twice. So like,
Oh.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, that's possible. And, he does love himself. Maybe he'll be the one that is able to do an invasion takeover angle properly.
hey, if anyone could do it, for
It's true.
sure.
What is next on the card?
All right. And for the United States Championship, Logan Paul defends against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens in a match I'm not super enthusiastic about as much
Yeah.
as I enjoy all three of the guys,
Yeah.
really.
I feel like this match is like kind of like Logan Paul is the young, cocky, hip guy, and Randy Orton versus and Kevin Owens are like the traditionalists, boomer types that, and they're just gonna kind of beat up on him for a while, and then he's gonna win by clocking one of them with the brass knucks, and
Yes, that is how the
yeah.
match will end. Some
And it's just
guys
kind of
from his
like,
YouTube show will do a run in.
yeah, it
They'll
just
hit them with the brass knucks. That's okay though. Like that's
it's
how
it's
his matches
okay,
have been
but it's just
ending. And
I don't know, it's just like that's what you're doing with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Like, okay, all right. Again, this is what I meant before when I was like, night one seems so much beefier than night two.
Mhm.
There's a lot of matches on night two that I'm like, sure, like I don't know if it's next on the list or whatever, but the women's world championship with Io Sky and Bayley, like, sure, that'll be fun, but
I have some interest in that match. I have more interest in Io Sky versus Bayley, which I actually think they've
mhm,
done the story well. I feel like Bayley versus Io Sky has suffered from the Rock's eclipse of this WrestleMania,
yeah.
uh, where some matches that would be bigger matches feel like smaller matches because of the amount of Rock
Mhm.
and Cody Rhodes and that angle that's taking place, which is fine. But
Yeah.
anyways, with Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, it really does feel like they were like, I don't know what to do with these three guys at WrestleMania. Here's what we're gonna do. Um,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
felt this is the least exciting Logan Paul match that has taken place. Like Logan Paul, they put him against Rey Mysterio and
Yeah.
Ricochet, and I'm like, I like those matches. Those are cool. Kevin Owens,
Yeah. Yeah. They had a good
that
match.
all
Yeah.
seemed great. I loved when he beat Rey Mysterio, clocked him with the brass knucks again. Walks up to Rey Mysterio after the match and was like, "Thanks, man, you're a legend." And Ray's like, "Well, you know what you did?" He's like, "No, that was straight up, man. 1, 2, 3, clean." Like, I just loved it so much. I'm like, no, 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 it's
Yeah.
perfectly clean, straight up.
He's figured out a way to turn his natural disingenuousness into something we can all enjoy as opposed to hate.
But it does feel like Kevin Owens wrestled Steve Austin last year at
Yeah.
WrestleMania, and he's just in such a you know
He
afterthought of a match this year.
he was the universal champion for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I
Uh,
don't know.
yeah. Well, hey.
You do.
Then we move on. The second last match, WrestleMania 42. Io Sky defends the WWE Women's Championship against Bayley. I gotta say, I think it makes sense for Bayley to overcome the obstacles and win here.
Hmm.
Um, just feels like this would have been a much bigger match on any other WrestleMania.
See, I am surprised that they didn't do this match first on night, like flip the two women's matches.
Yeah,
and do Becky and Rhea here.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. But then they maybe thought that was the bigger match, so it should kick off the whole week.
I don't know. I mean, that's their mentality, though, is that your first match should be the second biggest of the show. You know, the other thing is like Ripley versus Becky could have main evented night one. I know the idea, like, oh, well, we would never have The Rock, do anything other than the main event. So I'm like, why? Does it make him any less of a star? And it would make Ripley versus Lynch like feel as important as it is. Like it's a really big match, and the booking of it, not the booking of it in the story, but the booking of it in comparison to the attention other storylines have gotten, it feels like they've reduced the value of the match a little bit. So I don't know.
I agree. Very strange, but I also think Bayley will walk away with it. Also, we need something feel good.
Yeah.
Night 2's been kind of a bummer.
Oh yeah. Did we even do a prediction for the United States match, or we just all went, I don't care?
Oh,
our prediction was, I don't care. I think Logan Paul will win because he can keep carrying the belt around on YouTube.
For sure.
LA Knight and AJ Styles. LA Knight should win that. Okay. Philadelphia Street Fight. Nobody cares.
I would say probably the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley will win that, but
I hope they win that because I like watching Montez Ford do frog splashes so long as he doesn't hurt himself.
Me too.
But with Bayley and the Damage Control, it's interesting because this is Triple H's first WrestleMania, and his first pay-per-view was the SummerSlam when Damage Control debuted. Bayley came out with Dakota Kai and Io Sky. And I like, it's the way they've done it is really good. The way they had that one segment where Bayley revealed that she's learned how to speak Japanese and understood all the insults that the other members of Damage Control were giving her, and the way like Bayley's done a great job of feeling like really communicating that she's been betrayed, that she had made Damage Control more important to her than her own singles career. I don't know. It feels like a big moment for Bayley. We haven't seen her be babyface since she was hugging people. So this is an important time in her career. Like this babyface run for her, I think it should go well because I think the fans appreciate what she's brought to the table throughout the years of her being a heel. So.
Yeah, no, and this is definitely, we've talked about it before, the start of a new chapter for her. So I think it'd be a good idea to have her win, and so I hope they do that.
And maybe hug some people again.
Yeah.
All right. That takes us to the big match for the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Does Cody Rhodes finish the story Sunday night? God damn it, he better.
You forgot that it was the undisputed WWE.
The undisputed WWE Universal Championship.
They haven't squeezed a fifth descriptor in there yet, but the undisputed mega WWE Universal Ultra Championship heavyweight, trademark copyright. Does Cody Rhodes finish his story here? Yeah, I think he has to.
He has to because they made the stipulation that it's his last chance at Roman. As I've said before, I would be happy for him to fail at achieving his dream numerous times over before I would I would actually want Cody to accomplish his dream, just so we, remind people it does happen. It's just usually it doesn't.
Remember, kids.
But probably I don't think it's in question. Everybody knows Cody's winning the title, and it'll be a cool moment.
I will say though, that's what we thought last year.
We did think that last year. I don't know. I actually I wrote a preview for the Observer site and I put in it, this is not a foregone conclusion that Cody wins. That was as confident as I ever was, like in that it might not happen, as like it might, like maybe there's a chance. I don't think there's a chance this time. I think
No.
the second they said that stipulation, usually when they give that stipulation, it's to let the fans know you are going to see a title change.
Yeah.
I believe that's why they made the stipulation, is so fans who really didn't like the ending last year will know, okay, they're not going to screw me.
It's safe for me to come back.
It's safe for me to come back in the water. But the real story is going to be how they get there. If it's bloodline rules, you can expect run-ins, turns, allegiance changes.
It might just, if it's bloodline rules, it might just start with all 5 of them in the ring laying the boots to them.
Yeah. To me, there's more storyline opportunities there, especially for a match where the result isn't really in doubt. They might decide, hey, let's just have a straight wrestling match. I think that would be fine too. But to not have The Rock involved in this match in some way seems like a misstep, especially if they are going Cody versus Rock. You've also got a potential free agent signing who could be aligning with the bloodline, or maybe not. Like, I don't know that that's happening. That could just be a giant red herring. They may have signed, well, it's Tama Tonga. I'm talking about Tama Tonga.
Yeah.
Tama Tonga could have been signed as a complete red herring. We're like, we're going to make it seem like Tama Tonga will come out because all the other bloodline members are, banned from the building.
Is Tama Tonga a WrestleMania main event debut kind of guy, though?
He is to me.
Okay, well, that's fair. That's fair.
You know who
I'm just saying,
his dad, Haku, coming back. I don't care if he's in his 70s at this point. That's main event right there.
I'd be scared of him.
No, I actually don't think Tama Tonga is going to have anything to do with the main event because he's not recognizable on that level.
Yeah.
I do think I followed Tama Tonga's whole career. I do think he'll do some cool stuff. I think he's better than some people give him credit for. He really surprised me. He did a babyface run in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I was like, he can't be a babyface. He was a completely decent babyface. But The Rock's got to get involved some point in here. You could just do, if Cody wins clean in a singles match with no bloodline rules, you could just have The Rock come out and confront him after the match. That would be a big moment too. Nothing wrong with that. But I think the big thing is Cody is going to win the title, have a big emotional moment, confetti, family in the ring. That's got to be your closing moments.
Yeah, either that or The Rock comes out after the match and they do this square off, and then he grabs his arm and raises it and says, this is the guy right here.
Yeah.
And we're all like, oh, now they're friends. This is wonderful. And then The Rock smashes his face on the ground, and The Rock is the one left standing tall at the end of WrestleMania, even though Cody has the title. And obviously they're going into a Rock Cody program. The Rock at the end of the day is the one that's still standing.
You know what though? Like, the rules are out the window. It used to be WrestleMania was cut and dry. The babyface wins and you have a feel good moment at the end. But they've, the first time that didn't happen, I believe, was WrestleMania 2000. They did the McMahon in every corner match.
Oh yeah, there could not be a winner because nobody wins in this match.
Yeah, and it was Triple H. It was like, I believe Triple H was the first heel to win in the WrestleMania main event. Yeah. They also had Roman versus Brock Lesnar not too many years ago, where Brock beat Roman, but then they went to Saudi Arabia the next month.
Yeah.
And I think Brock actually might have won that too. And then Roman, I don't know. The Brock Roman feud took some turns, but
it was a lot longer than anyone thought it was going to be.
Yes, it was,
including Brock and Roman, I think. But anyways, no, the rules are out the window, and that's it. It's kind of a fun time to be heading into a show as big as WrestleMania.
Yeah,
with that hanging over and everything. So yeah,